Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wheatfield Town Board meeting. This is actually a preliminary meeting specifically aimed at the Krueger Road sidewalk issue. Before we get into that, though, we had an unfortunate passing of a good friend of ours, an employee, fireman, and just a wonderful person. And Robin would like to say a few words.
As I said, Bob joined our ranks. He was hired with us on January 3rd of 2015, and I reflect back to a few minutes on the hiring process in the fall of 2015. I was basically tasked of trying to hire two new constables that we had such a vacancy. As I reviewed some resumes and applications in an effort to bring a recommendation to the town board, I came across Bob. And just to fill you in a little bit about who Bob Gajewski was, his resume is second to none. Bob came to us with a 20-plus year credential chief officer in New York State, holding many different jobs and responsibilities around the Western New York area. He came with fully credentialed with all the requirements of the town constable division. Fully credentialed in firearms, aerosol restraint, impact weapons, Article 45 of the criminal law, six patents. It took me all about 2 minutes to read his application and resume at the red flag him up, and I said, we need this guy on our team. So we hired him, and we support Bob Gajewski credentials. The crown jewel on Bob's resume was also the fact that not only was he credentialed in all these aspects, but he was also New York State Chief Officer trained, credentialed and trained in all those aspects. Bob worked for many years for the Chief Officer training that we started here. And again, I think that's probably one of the crown jewels of his career. Bob was not only able to go out and perform as a Chief Officer and do duties he had, but Bob also touched the lives literally hundreds of Chief Officers up and down throughout Western New York, providing them with the tools they need to perform their job safely and efficiently. Again, Bob's loss is a tremendous one, not only to our department, but to the town of Wheatfield. Dedication and service. A search around for a little bit for a few words that I think would be appropriate, and I came across the phone, and I'd like to share it with you. Share this opportunity the other night as we paid our respects to the father-in-law, and I'd like to share it with the town board and with you. The author is unknown, and it's called Our Brother Has Been Taken. Our brother has been taken and gently laid to rest. Fate seems so cruel at times, but only takes the best. While those who care for no one are left to walk life's street, bringing less joy and sorrow to those who pass away. Our brother lives forever, if only in our minds. Will never be forgotten, or ever left behind. Will stand before us always as if to guide our way, through all our tests and duties, where you have been put. Our brother has been taken, and though we wonder why, we still perform our duties as faith and we provide. We'll travel where fate leads, through days of dark or care, until we stand for roll call beside our brother. As I said, reviewing the applications and looking for a proper candidate to fill those positions, it is my Attention. Brent Harmon. Order. Eddie. His name is the best you can name. Please, all those ourselves with that. That's the new family. And the way to be. Ladies and gentlemen, here in the back. The other side. So, brother Bob, I'll find a way. Well done. So, take the building.
Thank you, Robin. Jane, our heart goes with you. With the many children you have, the many girls that you have, we're part of that family as well. Okay, we have, looks like over 100 people in the room, so we're not going to be able to live with 3 minutes for each person who wishes to speak, but the purpose of this hearing is to let us know how you feel. We did do a straw poll. We've had almost 100 people respond to that. We've had numerous emails, phone calls, and visits to Kathy's office. But this is your last opportunity before we might take some action this evening to let us know how you feel about the Krueger Road sidewalk. Please try and hold your comments short and walk to the microphone, and if you wish to give us your reason, you may. We would like to know where you live, if you can at least give us the area you live in. So whoever wishes to be first, might as well line up for the microphone. I don't know, do we have Brian? Is Brian in there? Brian's out back.
I think all of them signed up, but I think that you're calling them for this.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, ma'am.
Huh?
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm Kathy State. I live on Eric Road. And it's very sad that a young man died on Krueger Road and also on Shawnee Road where 2 young people died. But this is the town of Wheatfield. It is not the city of Wheatfield. And it really, if you want sidewalks, you should consider moving to the city. Wheatfield is citified enough. And distracted driving and distracted walkers do create a problem, and that needs to be addressed.
Absolutely. Thank you. Josh?
Good evening. I'm Josh. I live on Rebecca Drive, and I'm actually just coming here as a parent of a 7 and a 5-year-old. And we have a lot of kids, and we're hanging out. We see them running door to door, neighbor to neighbor, and my wife grew up in hanging out with kids in that Winburg Drive area. So I appreciate everyone else's comments on the other side, but just we're trying to grow up with our kids here. I'm just kind of concerned that our kids shouldn't be on the streets. They shouldn't be walking in front of cars, and especially, I do agree that distracted drivers are a problem, but at the end, all I really care about is my kids. So if it ends up being a small amount of money that we have to pay, I'm happy to contribute an extra $50, $100 a year to start growing sidewalks. That's not going to be an issue for me. And that's kind of my concern and viewpoint, is for my 5 and 7-year-olds who are hanging out with all their little girlfriends. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Lori?
Krueger Road is dangerous enough when no cars are parked there. I have 2 photos here showing cars parked on Krueger Road. Has to be 25 to 30 cars on each side of the road near the St. Johnsburg Fire Hall. This appears to be overflow parking from the fire hall because the fire hall lot is completely full. Just where is one supposed to walk on this road? There is no room. There is also no area of escape if you happen to see a car coming toward you. It is a miracle that a car owner has not been hurt or killed while walking back to their own car. In recent weeks, I was questioning why Gil Doucette took the sidewalk issue so personally. Now I know why. Sidewalks would take space away from the events at the fire hall. I am also told that recently Mr. Doucette and Mr. Helwig used a golf cart to speak with residents on Krueger Road. Using the golf cart proved the point that Krueger Road is too dangerous to walk along. Anyone that has attended a town board meeting to discuss concerns has done so with documentation, and the documentation is then shown to the town board. So now I'm requesting the town board show us the documentation you have proving that 70% of the residents in this area, my neighborhood, are against the sidewalks. How can 70% be against the sidewalks when 674 homes out of 700 signed the petitions in favor of the sidewalks? Those 674 petitioners signed with name and address, and I want proof from this town board that these residents that do not want it, I want that proof. I want that documentation. Debbie and Kelly deserve that documentation. Gentlemen, you have an opportunity right now to make this neighborhood a little bit safer, to create a positive change from a horrific tragedy. In this case, it is not a matter of if, but when another accident or death will happen.
Lori, I'm going to have to ask you to move along.
I have one last comment. That's it. Life has a way of balancing out, balancing the books, karma, whatever you want to call it. Safety is part of your responsibility. As members of the town board, we are asking you to take this seriously. Please weigh your decisions very carefully. Lives depend on it.
Thank you. Safety is our most important responsibility. Yes, Dan?
Danny Merton, live in Niagara Road in the wonderful hamlet of Burkle. I'm looking at Facebook, listening to other comments, and I needed to come in and voice my opinion. Burkle does have a sidewalk. It goes from nowhere to nowhere, and if you've been down there, you can contest to it. I don't see anybody but a couple people walking their dogs on it. All the kids are walking the road. Just want to put that out there. Like, you cannot put a price on someone's life, but accidents do occur. As a young kid on the Jacoba, distracted driving, you're drowsy, you're fumbling with GPS. So I've seen dogs driving cars. They're sitting on the passenger seat, and I'm sure if anybody in here can anybody say they haven't been distracted while driving any time during their life? I cannot say. I definitely have not been. Instead of instead of sidewalks, I'd rather see shoulders put on the road. Again, there's the parking on the road, especially at St. Johnsburg. I do service work along there. I'm in the plumbing and heating business. If there's somebody cutting grass, their trailers are stuck in the road, and sometimes you can't even get around them. A wider shoulder by the bike path. And at the same time, you could do some engineering to get rid of the water issues from Wilrose, Wimbert, somehow tie that along Krueger Road. I know it's going to cost more, but maybe a bond would be better than doing this.
Can you move along, Dan, please?
Also, I do work in towns of Clarence, Amherst, Orchard Park, and their main roads are country roads like we've been, and they've gone and become suburban, not urban. And they haven't put sidewalks on. They widen the roads a little bit just to keep their country feel. One more thing, I know you're going to do some motions later. Accepting the grant. Does the grant specify you have to be in the vicinity of a school? I've heard it does. Which side of Krueger Road, I haven't heard. The cost, where's the rest of the cost coming from? A fund balance? Does it leave the town financially unstable again like we were years ago? And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Mike?
Hello, my name is Deborah Litton. I'm sure you all know who I am. And you know my son Michael, and I have a son Stephen Easterly, and a young gentleman that I take care of, which he's 55 years old and in a week. And he cannot go down Krueger Road at all. He is not allowed to. So this here, I've been here 3 times, my 3rd meeting, and all the problems with Michael moving about in the neighborhood, and even though the grown men, disabilities, they want you active and do things like everyone else, so need to help them so they can enjoy their lives even like normal people. St. Johnsburg, Michael works as a volunteer for St. Johnsburg. He cannot drive a car, so instead he uses his 3-wheel tricycle to go from places down to the fire hall and over to the other main streets that he needs to get to see his friends in there. I have talked to Michael about him stop riding, and he says, no, Mother, I'm a man. I can do this. I'm very cautious. He said, I do stop for traffic. He said, but some of these people, he just don't care. And he says, it is dangerous for me, but I'm not going to stop. He says, I must walk the dog that I babysit, and he has to walk on the edge of the road, and sometimes they're over that white line. And he says, I don't know what to do, but he says, this is my job. He said, I'm happy to have it. He said, it is dangerous, but I'm a grown man, and I can't have my mother tell me what to do anymore. She gives me guidance. She will not order me to stop. Safety is not just for people who have needs, but they're for people, for normal people that walk it every day. Joggers, bicycle, pet walkers, you name it. And many cars are on the street. If they pay more attention, we wouldn't have a problem. But we do need the sidewalk for more safety for everybody.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Danelle. I live on Tomato Court. I have lived off Krueger Road for 30 years. First on one of the original streets of Krueger Estates, where my parents still reside. I now live on Tomato. I have seen firsthand the continuing growth of this community. This is a great place to live, so I again ask, why are you not committed to making this neighborhood safe? Why are you not investing in this community? I again want to thank Kelly, Debbie, Todd, and Joshua for their tireless devoting of their time and effort, for investing in our community, and for securing the grant. Thank you to them. So I ask, they have done all of the work for this project, as you have asked them to. Why are you not holding yourselves accountable? Krueger has been identified as an unsafe road, and there's a safety warrant on it. The question is not if, but unfortunately when, the next tragedy will occur. And it will be on your hands.
Thank you, Daniel. Catherine?
Good evening. My name is Catherine Lance. I live on Krueger Road. I've lived there for about 4 years, and before that I lived on Winbert for about 14 years. I'm a teacher, a mother, a resident. I'm also a Niagara County legislator of the 7th District that presides over Krueger Road. So I must first preface any remarks in being very clear. I know some individuals had pointed out, of course, that I do live on Krueger Road and would personally benefit from any solution that puts sidewalks or otherwise boost public safety. Completely true, but also irrelevant. If I lived on River Road, I would still be in agreement with my neighbors on Krueger, who have approached me again and again about this issue. There's simply too much traffic, moving too fast for people to walk safely on Krueger Road. I see it every day. I ride my bike. It's very dangerous. As an elected representative, I'm approached by everyone on all sides of the issue. My neighbors tell me they're in favor of the sidewalks on Krueger. That's not to say that some neighbors aren't more concerned about costs or other concerns. However, once a child has died on your street and you pass his shrine every day, you must ask yourself, is it still safe? And that's where my neighbors are coming from. With a $750,000 grant at our disposal, and with our public sentiment so strong, I'm urging my colleagues, my friends on the town board to put residents first and put the safety of their children first. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
Hello, I'm William Clark, and as long as I've lived in Wheatfield, which has been 37 years, we have been told the town would not have sidewalks, the same as other Niagara County towns around us. It's country living. I travel down Krueger often, and rarely do I see anyone biking or walking on it. Where Schultz Road, which I travel on often also, almost every time I'm on that narrow road with no shoulders, in the evening or on weekends, there is someone either walking, jogging, biking, walking a dog, or pushing a baby stroller that you have to be aware of. And you don't hear them saying they need a sidewalk. They know this is country living. You're saying a sidewalk could be put in the town side of property. on the town side of the property line. So you're saying the town would have to pay to keep the sidewalk in repair and clear at taxpayers' expense. No thank you. And if someone slips on an icy sidewalk and cracks an elbow, I think most everyone here has seen the TV ads from ambulance chasing lawyers showing someone slipping on an icy sidewalk and then advertising they will sue for you for a cut of the money you receive. A money judgment against the town is money the taxpayers of the town would have to pay. No thank you. If you want to use money from the general fund money should be used for something that the majority of town members would benefit from, not a few vocal town members. If you're going to be nagged into putting a sidewalk on Krueger, it should be paid for and maintained by the people who signed the petition for one, not the entire town through the general fund. And as to those who want sidewalks in the town of Wheatfield, there is no law saying they can't pay for a sidewalk to be installed on their property in front of their own home. And no one on Krueger Road who does not want a sidewalk in front of their property should be forced to have one.
I'm going to have to ask you to move along, please.
Excuse me?
I'm going to have to ask you to move along, please.
This is country living. If you add a sidewalk on one road, you are opening a can of worms. Whereas how many others are going to be saying to the town, if Krueger Road got a sidewalk, we want one too. This is country living, no sidewalks. There is the potential for anyone walking along a road anywhere in the town of Wheatfield to be hit by a car. The loss of any human life, and especially a child, due to being hit by a car is tragic. But putting in a sidewalk will not bring that child back. Anyone walking on a town road should be walking facing traffic and realize any vehicle coming towards them has the potential to kill them and move well out of the roadway. Respectfully, William Clark.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Cranach. I live on Stenzel. I walk every day, sometimes twice a day, 5 to 7 times a week. I get hit almost close to getting hit 2 to 3 times a week. This isn't acceptable. I shouldn't have to jump onto somebody's lawn to avoid a car from distracted drivers. I don't know what you guys are thinking of. It's not gonna, you guys are open to a lawsuit. It's on record that it's a hazard. Do you want to talk about someone being sued for a faulty sidewalk? What is somebody's life worth? What is my future worth? You're going to take it away because I could get hit or hurt? Who's going to go and hold my mom's hand in the hospital if I have to be there? Who? You guys? No, not these people saying no. I understand that I take my life into risk, but I shouldn't have to drive to Fairmont Park where there's walkways. I should be able to walk in my neighborhood. I grew up on Nickett. Now I live on Stenzel. I walk to my father's house. When I grew up there was only 4 streets. Now you guys are popping up houses left and right in developments where all these kids are, and they can't safely go on the streets. What are you guys going to do about it? Maybe the sidewalk can't bring their child back, but it can save somebody else's child.
Thank you.
Good evening. To the Wheatfield Town Board. I've been a resident at 3117 Krueger Road for 4 years. My husband David has been at this address for 25 years. I've asked this letter to be shared with you tonight. I was distressed and saddened by the hit and run death that occurred on our road. When the proposal was made for the installation of sidewalks, I was completely in favor. Having no sidewalks on Krueger impacts our daily lifestyle. When we walk our puppy, we would like to walk next to each other, not with the dog in front of us and me in front of my husband. When we walk together, we would like to walk next to each other, talk and hold hands. When we have our grandchildren over, we would like to take walks with them around the neighborhood. We don't, it's not safe. When grandchildren come over, we would like to take a walk to Pelicanos with me. We don't, it's not safe. When my grandchildren want to walk up to St. Johnsburg to playground, we don't, it's not safe. Due to the cars using this road as a cut-through to Niagara Falls Boulevard, many drivers are not residents and drive at excessive speeds. This makes sidewalks imperative and shoulders useless. In fact, research shows that shoulders are less safe than sidewalks. I fear that this is a safety issue is ignored, and future injuries which occur on Krueger may be blamed for the board's lack of action. Please work with this neighborhood to improve the safety and quality of life for both current and future residents and their families. Sincerely, David and Patricia Gawler.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Evening.
Give me one moment, gentlemen. I'm not used to things being this high.
Well, we can probably hear you if that's...
Yeah, that's okay. I can be without the microphones. My name is Todd Varwick, and with me is Desiree Wildarek. We provide independent living services through Independent Living of Niagara County to disabled residents of the town of Wheatfield. And we're here to speak for all the people that can't be here today because of the access problems in being able to reach this building. Of course, we're in full support of sidewalks wherever you can place them. And I happen to know that towns all over the place would love to have a $750,000 grant to be able to put sidewalks in. This isn't just a safety issue or just a response to a tragedy. It can be any of those. But for me, and for the people that we work with at Independent Living of Niagara County, this is a civil rights issue. This is about people being able to leave their home and participate in their neighborhood. And I would ask if you've thought of consulting with your ADA coordinator about what the effect of a sidewalk would have for people in that neighborhood. It's important to remember that every citizen, whether it's country living, whether it's city living, whether it's suburban living, have equal access to the community that he lives in. If you consider that, then I think the decision is easy. If you don't, then the decision becomes harder.
Thank you very much.
Debbie DeBartolomeo, Lemke Drive. I just want to say that I've talked to a lot of people, and a lot of them feel the same way that I do. I already wrote the letter, it's been in the Tribune, you know how I feel. I just would like to, and most of them say, I don't have to come to a meeting. I've told my councilman. So I don't know who of you they've told, but they all say, I told my councilman, they know how I feel. So I don't know who they, I'm not going to name them, whatever. I would also like to remind the board, as they vote on this, that you were elected by all of us, the entire town, not just people in this room, to represent the entire group of the entire town, not just a small group. As our leaders, you need to have an objective perspective and leave emotion out of decision making. I know that 662 residents signed the petition, but remember, over 18,000 residents did not.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rachel Tufilaro, and I live on Eric Road. I've been a Wheatfield resident my whole life. I've also known Kelly Duger since we were children. She's my best friend. On November 20th, 2014, I read online a teen was hit by a car in Krueger in the evening. My first thought was, oh my God, Kelly lives there. That could have been Ryan. The next morning, I learned that it was Ryan. And he died from his injuries. I went to my best friend's house the next day and saw how this tragedy ripped their lives apart and the heart-wrenching agony that they were going through. No parent should go through that. Seeing that I'm not a Krueger Road resident, I've shied away from speaking at these meetings, thinking my input might not be valid or valued. But after my observations of these meetings, I can see that the board doesn't care about the value or thoughts and concerns of the Krueger Road area residents. Anyways. These women, Debbie and Kelly, and a few extras, have done everything you've asked them to do and more. Out of nearly 700 homes in the Krueger Road area, they received 662 signatures in favor of a sidewalk, not to mention this was the second petition that they did per your request. They've stayed in constant contact with the DOT and did all the legwork to find a way to receive the grant in order for there to be no burden on the residents in the Krueger Road area. This was done after they worked all day and took care of their families. They were away from their families to help ensure the safety of other people's families. All of this hard work and dedication was done so no other family would have to go through what the Dugers had to go through, losing a child. This was done with no help from you, our board members, our elected officials. What have any of you been doing to try to help? Why are your residents not worth it to you? You're putting the town of Wheatfield and the lives of your residents at risk for lawsuits, injuries, or worse, possibly another loss of life. Krueger Road needs the sidewalk. And if you're wondering why I care so much when I don't live in that neighborhood, besides supporting my friend, my daughter spends time with her friends on Krueger Road. And I will not even let them go to the playground out of fear of them being hit by a car. So I just pray that God gives you all the conviction in your heart to do the right thing, not only for the residents of the Krueger Road area and its subdivisions, but for all your Wheatfield residents. And we're counting on you to do the right thing.
Thank you. Kelly?
Hi.
My name is Kelly Duger. I live at 2975 Krueger Road. I want to thank you for sending out the sheriff to control the speeding problem on Krueger over the weekend. I hope it will continue. Before that, I had foiled documents that showed only five speeding tickets had been issued since 2011. That is dangerous and has proved to be deadly. I also have documentation that Krueger averages about 1.2 accidents per year. With lack of speed control, lack of space for pedestrians, lack of sufficient lighting, and increased population due to the developments, we are at high risk for another injury or fatality. You have signatures of over 600 residents who not only want, but need this sidewalk. This cannot be voted over an entire town. Listen to your residents cry for help. As our elected officials, I would think you would want to show your people that their safety matters to you. And I ask anyone here who supports the sidewalk, please raise your sign. These are the people who elected you and will be voting in November. Please show them that you care. Please do not let this community of nearly 700 homes down. The majority would rather see a sidewalk rather than another memorial. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Before we move on, I would like to address one thing that Kelly had mentioned. In terms of the number of tickets on, one of our deputies is right here. There have been numerous tickets, but when they're pled down to a non-moving violation, they don't show on the computer records as a conviction. So tickets may be written, they may pay a fine, they may have to do community service without actually seeing a conviction on the record. So.
Mr. Cliff, when I came to you about Ryan, you told me you were not going to allow them to be pled down.
I don't have that authority.
That's what you told me.
I do not have that. I've spoken with our town attorney, and I know what authority I have. Yes, sir.
My name is Mike Davidson, 7289 Graydon Drive. This is about taxes. Some of the town board members are telling residents that Wheatfield taxes will go up due to the Krueger Road sidewalk. That's not correct. Unfortunately, when the board spends money on projects or items that they feel are necessary, these added resident tax dollars are quickly and quietly approved at town meetings. In August 2015, did you need to borrow $350K through a 5-year bond for Phase 1 of the Niagara River Greenway Trails, and then also need to pay an additional $346,635 to town engineering firm Wendell Duscherer Architects to draw up the design. Total cost of the first phase is $1.8 million, which will be funded by the aforementioned bond, and $1.162 million in money from the National Scenic Byways. With money already borrowed, how much will be borrowed for Phase 2 of the project? The total cost of this project ranges from $2 million to as high as $5 million. Now, on April 4th, 2016, in the Buffalo News, Mr. Cliff stated the town will eventually need to borrow the money. The town has authorized $350,000 in borrowing to pay upfront costs. Also, is it true that the town of Wheatfield would be responsible for maintenance and care of this 10 to 12 foot wide path? Did you pay $3,000 for the design of a new library? Did you need to borrow $350,000 through a bond issue to match the grant that was secured at Fairmont Park to approve the $700,000 improvement project? Why wasn't this voted on by the residents? At a town meeting in April 2015, the town board approved to pay each full-time employee a $300 a year clothing allowance. This includes union and non-union members and all office workers and staff. Mr. Cliff told me receipts are not needed to be shown, as it is too hard to keep track of them. So it's like every year your full-time employees are given a $300 raise under the pretense of a clothing allowance. In August of 2015, the town board approved that any full-time employee would be able to opt out of health insurance and then receive an annual insurance buyout. How much do these employees receive for the yearly buyout? Also in April of 2015, the town voted to create a capital reserve fund of $500,000 to create a veterans memorial in the park. And if more funds are needed later, the board is able to increase the reserve. Mr. Cliff shared that the town has given $10,000 to this reserve fund and has also paid Wendell Engineers $2,200 in March of 2017 for additional services for the Veterans Memorial Project. Were residents allowed to vote on this? At the June 5th, 2017 town meeting, a motion was made to contract and to purchase the Hall Road parcel of land to maintain the town's drainage easement across the property.
I'm going to have to ask you to move along, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Debbie, you know better. Todd?
Good evening. I'm Todd Walter. I live at 7236 Willow Court. My son Joshua. Many of you may know Joshua is the person who 2 years ago, and thank you again to the board for giving him the permission to conduct a speed study on Krueger Road. Didn't expect to be standing in front of you guys here a year and a half later talking about this matter tonight, especially with regard to a sidewalk. I'm here not tonight to necessarily make any kind of an emotional plea. I am a social scientist by trade at Wheatfield College, and place my evidence, or put all my eggs in one basket with regard to facts and evidence. Josh and I measured the part of the road that Ryan was struck at, and the fog line to the end of the pavement measures about 27 inches. Barely enough for a human being to stand on that part of the road. I realize there's concerns tonight, and I've heard them, and I understand entirely about losing the country nature of Wheatfield and the rural nature of our town. I don't think a slab of sidewalk changes that. It's one of the reasons we moved here nearly 20 years ago. The town invested to look into this problem $3,200 for a study by Wendell, and the engineers determined, and I quote, "The current crossroads section of Krueger does not have sufficient shoulder width to accommodate pedestrians." The town grant writer helped to author the petition that went around. And in that, it says that this problem, and I should say in the grant that came about too, the town identifies that a traffic safety problem will be solved through the installation of this sidewalk project. It also goes on to say this project has been fully endorsed by the town of Wheatfield, including the matching 20% of funding. That is also a quote. We talked about the 600 plus signatures tonight. And in that grant, it also says that no portion of the cost of construction, and this is a quote again, of the project shall be assessed against the abutting properties, and no special assessment district will be created in connection with the project. New York State Department of Transportation agreed to this, $750,000 for this project. And yet we stand on the precipice tonight of passing on this opportunity. I just hope and pray, and I mean this sincerely from the bottom of my heart, and I mean this for everybody in here, that when we walk out of here tonight, we have a solution to this problem. It is a problem on that road. I'm not necessarily voting for a sidewalk. I'm voting for a solution. And we have an opportunity right now with $750,000 coming to us to finish that other 20%. If we can find a more cost-effective solution, please, I would love to hear it. Thank you for your time tonight, folks.
Thank you, Todd.
My name is Marcia Trevick Krueger, and I grew up on Krueger Road. There was probably 4 houses when I grew up there, okay? It was dangerous then, and a commenter earlier comments. I'm a country girl. It's not country anymore, folks. It's not. Okay? My son was hit by a car there, Sean McSwan, about 30 years ago. Hit and run. When he was hit, he was on the shoulder. A lot of people like to pass on Krueger Road, so the truck swung out, hit him. He actually flew off the bike 20 feet, whatever. I wish Brian would have survived, but, you know, it's just time. You have to move on. My father was highway superintendent. He started in 77. He put in a stop sign because I lived on the corner there, and I would back out. The cars would go flying through, and I'm sure if he was here today, he'd say sidewalks.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm TJ Natalino. I am 14 years old and I live on 2924 Krueger Road. I know you guys are all busy, running the town and making decisions, but you may not realize that this decision on putting in a sidewalk had a huge benefit for everyone. My sister, who is 10 years old, walks to her friend's house, and she's really afraid about walking to her friend's house, and she's not really afraid of anything. I also looked at the shoulders, and there's not much room. When I walk to my friends, it's not safe for us to walk side by side. We have to walk single filed. I mean, when you guys had friends and were younger, did you guys walk side by side, or did you guys walk single filed? I mean,
I was in a much smaller town. I didn't have that problem.
no. Well, I am also a Boy Scout of Troop 833, and we talk about safety in our community, and I feel like this sidewalk would fit that category about safety in our community. Please vote for Krueger Sidewalk, and have a good day.
TJ, thank you. Would you please address the microphone, Debbie?
Does anyone else want to speak before me? Because I have a long story to tell that starts from December 2014.
Debbie, we're not going to let you say the whole story.
You are?
I'm not going to let you say the whole story.
Then,
A minute.
then I will have other people help me say it. Because people need to hear the story about the shoulders,
At this point in time, the only people that have to hear are the board members, and we've heard it many times.
Get on the mic.
I have a story to tell. It's in my Tupperware container because that's how long it is. I have petitioned.
Debbie, I'm not going to allow that to happen. You can have a minute.
At least let her have some say.
She can have a minute like everybody else.
I thought people had 3 minutes.
I've said at the beginning of the meeting, I can't allow 3 minutes, nobody be able to be heard.
All right, I've been SOS seeking out safety for the town of Wheatfield residents, and it has been my message for the past 2 years since Ryan lost his life on November 21st, 2014. I have Joshua's report where over 1,000 cars were on our street in less than 24 hours.
Please speak into the microphone.
800 of them were speeding. I came on December 8th, 2014 to talk about a special needs man that lives across the street from me. I am a retired special ed teacher, and I have a big heart for people who cannot do things or go places because they need the help of others. That is my focus tonight. I have the newspaper clippings have been saying. But unfortunately, Wheatfield said they don't do sidewalks, but I found on Wheatfield's website that you have a Wheatfield comprehensive plan signed by Mr. Doucette and other board members that speaks of creating safe environments so people can get around in the town by creating sidewalks and pathways. Go online, guys. It's there. Comprehensive plan for Wheatfield. Also, because I asked for shoulders, you said can't help me, so I went around. I talked to Kelly Krueger. She was emotionally ready to move with me. We went around and got 384 signatures for shoulders. What was I told? You can't do shoulders, it's too expensive. Then you paid Gwendo $3,000 some odd dollars, I'll have a paper here, to go up and down and to decide what side of the street to put a sidewalk on. Here's his report. And the sidewalk money also covers for a huge portion of the drainage ditch. I don't know if you know that. It will help the drainage off the Cedar Street and Krueger Road. Half the grant is for the drainage ditch. Matching 20%, we were told that you could find money. You could talk to Mr. Orge. You could get it from Catherine Land. Or we talked about piggybacking grants. Did you help us get any more grants? No. No. We tried. I called. This is from you, Mr. Wendell, saying our road is unsafe. This is your report. You want to read it? You wrote it.
Okay, Debbie, finish up.
Okay, then we got on October 3rd, 2016. You guys approved, I have the motion, on that night in the meeting to go for a grant. You guys approved it, not us.
Correct.
We were told in 3 weeks' time we had to gather as many signatures as we could from our neighbors. We did. We got 662. Here they are. Kelly and I walked it. We did it with the help of her little daughter. We were told the petitions. We were told the Dr. Walter's radar report. So we turned everything into the grant writer.
Correct.
Thank you for helping us. You did not. Here's Joshua's report. It's an excellent report. If you want to read it. Then we got an email from you, Mr. Cliff, and from Mr. Rattella on April 27th saying we got the grant. You sent it to me. Mr. Rattella sent it to me.
Correct.
In the Tribune, Mr. Cliff, you stated that it is an area that has a problem. It's a unique opportunity to take advantage of a grant to put what really belongs on that road. I have the newspaper clipping where you said that.
I absolutely agree with that.
You gave us, through email, or the grant writer, gave us this Krueger Road petition. On the petition, it says no special district would be set up and no extra taxes would be served in our area for the sidewalk. 662 people signed this paper thinking that that was true.
Okay, Debbie, you got to finish up.
Then all this stuff was put in. Mr. Cliff signed that he read the grant and he represented all the people on the board about the grant. So you guys were all supposed to look at the petition, the radar report, everything. It got sent in, you got the grant, but unfortunately, some two members of our board were walking around the neighborhood not quoting what the grant said. They had their own information, saying that taxes were going to rise, saying that the people had to take care of the sidewalk, saying they're going to sue people if they get hurt on the sidewalk. And I talked to you last time, Mr. Doucette, and I said if I go up to your stand and fall down, I can sue
Okay,
you.
I'm going to have to call it here, Debbie.
One more thing.
No, I'm sorry. You've had your opportunity.
I went around
Debbie.
to all the Krueger Road residents.
Brian.
And out of 75 people, 54 people signed yes with comment.
Good evening, Roger Almick. I live on Hill Road. I just want to say that I appreciate what all you guys are doing up there, and females. That you are not jumping on this right away and acting in an emotional way. That you're actually listening to all the town residents, because not everybody wants these sidewalks. And I'm going to make a couple of comments for some of the people that I heard tonight. They mentioned about bicycles. Bicycles are not allowed on sidewalks, so those people that think that they're going to put sidewalks in and they're going to be riding bicycles on them, that's not allowed. It's, you're going to be running into the same thing, because you're going to have people trying to walk on the sidewalk while people are riding their bicycles. That doesn't work that way. Bicycles are meant to be on the road, not on the sidewalks. The other thing is, there's obviously a lot of people in here that are for and against this. I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there as a suggestion. I don't see why we can't just put this up to a town board, or not, a town vote in the next election. Why can't we just put this on as a referendum and see what the actual town of Wheatfield residents want to do with this? Not just the Krueger Road people, but everybody in the town. Because we've heard from both sides tonight where it sounds to me like there's a passion on both sides of who wants it and who doesn't want it. And I think if it's put to a vote, then that really makes the decision easy for everybody here, because then the residents of the town make that decision. I think that if that can be done, I think that should be done. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My name is Shannon Panero. I live on Shawnee and Hill Road, right on the corner. There's an accident there once a week, and I don't live in that area, but I feel for this woman. I have a 17-year-old daughter. I live down the road from where the two kids were killed last year. My daughter could have been at that party. I don't care if you have to get more sidewalks later. I'll pay more money. It's that simple. I don't care. And it doesn't matter where you live in Wheatfield. If you don't feel for this family and want your kids and your nieces and your grandkids to be safe, then you should move out. That's all I think. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to thank everybody for coming this evening. It took a little longer than anticipated, but it's important that the board members understand how people feel. One last one? Yeah, sure. Understood. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you. I think from the beginning we've all known that this is a very important and very emotional issue, and the board has had to sit back and take a look at what everybody's had to say. This has been a great meeting. We've heard from an awful lot of people on both sides of the issue. There's not much new that has come out in this meeting, but certainly it's heartfelt. We're going to go on with our regular meeting shortly. If you want to leave, we can take 5 minutes for people to leave that want to go. We'll go into our regular meeting. My motion is on the agenda, but it's the last one on the agenda, so it'll be a little while before we get there. So if anybody wants to take a 5-minute break, you can. Otherwise, you're certainly welcome to stay.